atheists, they come up with their own ideas. They say that Bhagwan is actually the impersonal consciousness that's inside Krishna. Krishna is just a human being, and they come up with all these theories. But Ved Vyas has very clearly and very cleverly used this choice of words. He said, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Bhagavan means the Lord, the Supreme Lord has said. And what does he say over here? Maya Asakta Mana Partha. That means one whose mind is attached. Mana is mind. Whose mind is asaktam, attached to me. Partha is Arjuna. Then what happens? Yogam Yunjan Mad Ashraya. That by practicing meditation in Krishna consciousness, in consciousness of me. Uh, Asamsaya Samagram Mam. That without a doubt, he can understand my personality fully. Yatha Jnanasi Tachru. How will that happen? Now he's telling him, you hear how this happened. So Krishna first explains to Arjuna in the previous chapter about meditation. And over here, Krishna is trying to explain to us how one who is meditating on the form of Krishna, practicing yoga in Krishna consciousness, in meditating on Krishna, he can completely understand what God is. And he is giving us guarantee, he's giving us assurance that Samsayam, without doubt, he will understand me completely. Samagaram. That means without doubt he will understand Samagram what? Completely me, Mam. Mam is me. So that is what Krishna is assuring Arjuna. Now, a rough idea, like before we all came into, Krishna consciousness, we started reading Bhagavad Gita and all that. For most people in general, God was either you don't believe in God at all, you say, oh, this is all make believe stuff, or else you think God is most people, or most other faiths just see God as great. When you ask them what is God, oh, God is very great. Oh, God is very powerful. That's what they'll say. But when you don't have a good tangible idea of God, then you won't be able to develop a relation with Him. If God is just great, that is just a very blanket statement. You need to know more about God. You need to understand God in a more tangible way. If I say the sky is very vast, sky is not something tangible. Sky is, unlimited. It's not, there's no, you can't have a direct perception of sky. The sky is unlimited. Similarly, just by saying that God is very great, you're not really getting a direct understanding of God. It's just giving you a void example of God. So, when we understand this, we need to realize that to actually understand God, properly understand God, there needs to be an attachment. And that attachment comes, and the highest way of understanding God is when we have love for God. Only we have love for God, then we'll be able to understand God fully. Otherwise, simply by saying God is great, you won't understand. And also, it leads to making up your own rules when it comes to understanding God. Like most other faiths, they'll say that, oh, we should believe in God, but do whatever you feel like. Or do as you feel like, do everything for your own sense enjoyment. But at the same time, some belief should be there towards God. That is the idea of most people, that I can do whatever I feel like, but as long as I have some belief towards God, I'm fine. Only when we have that connection, that love with for God, then when God is more tangible, then our attitude towards God changes. And when we see God in a more tangible, personal form, and when we develop that love, then love equals to service. Then we can serve God properly. Only through service of God is what's being said over here. That when somebody serves God in full consciousness of God, when we perform our activities, yoga, in full consciousness of God, with mind attached to Krishna, then you can know God in full form. Otherwise, we think that people come up with their own conceptions. Some people will say that Krishna actually, because in olden times people probably wanted to create the supreme figure. So just because humans have two hands and two legs, we created a god also, which has two hands, two legs. What we don't realize is man comes out of God. God doesn't come out of man. Just like we can say that Shohel has got the traits of his father. We don't say Shohel's father has got the traits of Shohel, because the genes, the genetic data has been passed on from the father. Similarly, Krishna his original form is that two with two hands, two legs. Because he's got that form, we have inherited that form. Because Krishna is the Aham Bij Pita, that he is the seed-giving father of all living entities. So because of Krishna has got that opulence, Krishna has got that form, that's why we inherit that. It is said in the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu that Krishna has got 64 qualities, out of which 55 qualities living entities have, but they are at a dormant stage. They are not completely realized. So, because of that, we start thinking that we have created God. That God is actually come from the conception of human beings, because we think that we have two hands, two legs. We made a God also with just two hands, two legs, which is wrong. God is actually the original form, and from which we have taken up this human form. So the child will have the qualities of the father. Now, when we talk about God and a relationship with God, you can have a relationship with God in different ways. The first is one way which is very common, which most of us do, which is having a relationship with God in a mode of awe and reverence. When we say, wow, God is so great, God is so powerful, He created all of this, wow, amazing. We just see God as great. When we develop that attachment with God slightly more, when we understand God more, qualitatively, when we have an attachment to the personal form of the Lord, when we understand His qualities, when we listen to His instructions, when we say His holy names, then our development or our attitude towards God changes. The next stage is accepting Lord as the master. When you accept Lord as the master, then more qualities of the God can be understood. You understand this is the God, this is the instruction of Krishna. Krishna would be pleased if I perform in this way. And just like a servant is trying to please the master through his actions, we also come in that attitude. We try to see ourselves as nothing but servants of the Lord, and we try to perform in that way. Now, as you further progress, you go to the next stage. The next stage is a relationship with Lord as a friend. Like we see in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was a friend of the Lord. And as a friend, if you know, like between friends, if you have ever had that experience, there might be jokes. Friends might make fun of each other in a joyful, playful way. A friend is slightly more personal than even a servant and a master relationship. When you have a friend, the friendship relationship is much more personal. It's much more intimate. So the next stage is seeing Lord as a friend. There we can understand the qualities of Lord much better. We are able to have a more intimate connection with Krishna or the Lord. Even more advanced than that is seeing Krishna as your son, like Yashoda Ma and Nanda Maharaj did. They saw Krishna as their son. Everybody in Vrindavan knew Krishna as the supreme Brahman, as the all-pervading supreme Lord, which was residing in all of their hearts. But even though they knew that, they never, when they were dealing with Krishna, they never treated him with awe and reverence. They always treated him like a child, especially the Yashodama and Nanda Maharaj. Krishna was performing one feat after the other. He was sometimes picking up the Govardhan hill with his left pinky finger. Sometimes he was killing big, huge demons. He was jumping on the head of Kalia demon. He was Kalia demon who had taken up the entire Yamuna river. The entire villagers were scared of Kalia because he was just making the entire river poisonous. He was a huge seven-hooded serpent, a big demon. And Krishna, a small 5-year-old boy, he jumped into the water fearlessly and he started dancing on the head of Kalia and like all completely beat him up to a pulp. So, in spite of seeing all of that, now in general, when people see all of these feats, they can accept, okay, this is God. No, no, not a normal person can perform these feats. It has to be God. But Yashodama and Nanda Maharaj were always to seeing him as a son. So even when he was doing all of that, they were worried. What will happen to Krishna? He's just a 5-year-old boy. When he came out, they used to say, "Oh, did you get wet? Are you hungry now? Do you want to eat?" He used to be killing like big, big demons, and they used to just go to him and say like, "Oh, you must be hungry after such difficult activity. Let's eat." So they used to always see Krishna as a son. Now, when you see someone as a son, when you see Krishna as your son, when you see God as your son, the amount of service your parents do for their children, it's unconditional. There's no profit in the return. With friendship, there might be some sort of profit. With mastership, there might be some sort of profit. Even though it might be less, but there is still some sort of profit. Like, for example, you work for a company, and the company, the boss is your, I mean, don't see master and servant in a very derogatory term. But in general, they are paying you. You're getting some sort of profit from them, and you're providing that service by, working. Now there is some sort of profit involved. But with a parent and child relationship, there is no profit. It is simply unconditional love. Day and night, the parents will struggle extra hard so that the child can, look after. They can provide for the kids. I know, like one of my friend, she is a mother, and she had gone to her home country, which is in Philippines, to attend a wedding, and she had left her child with some relatives. It was a fairly newborn child. Uh, so she thought that it'll be fine. But just 2 days of her being in Philippines, she got a call, and somebody informed like your child is not eating anything. He's just crying day and night, and we are just panicking. And that girl had to literally leave the wedding midway, and she had to fly down last moment to just look after her child. And that is because of unconditional love. When you love and care for somebody, you're willing to go to extreme lengths. So that is when you see God as a child, then you provide unconditional, loving, devotional service to Lord. And then even beyond that, sorry, even beyond that is when you see the most advanced stage is Madhurya Bhav. Madhurya Bhav is seeing God as a lover, like the gopis did to Krishna. Now, when you see someone as a lover, all these elements, all the aspects of master, friend, son, all of them are included in lover. Lover is the most advanced stage. Huh? When you see someone as lover, all your senses are attached. All sense of attachment is included towards Krishna. You're 24/7 engaged. When Krishna left Vrindavan, he had sent Uddhava, who was his very good counselor. He said that he said that go and console the people of Vrindavan because they are suffering so much because of separation from me, especially the gopis. He said the gopis are so attached to me they couldn't live. Literally the gopis' attachment to Krishna is so much that they used to literally curse at Brahma. That what kind you're a buggy creator, you're a false creator. What kind of nonsense creator you are? Why have you made eyelids? Why have you made this thing called blinking? We we when we see Krishna, that's all we want to see. And when we are disturbed because of that blink for microsecond, that disturbs us. So you're a false creator because you created eyelids. That is the level of attachment the gopis had for Krishna. They used to, if the gopis were looking at, they were walking and they saw Krishna. Supposing they just saw the toe of Krishna, for hours and hours together, they would just be staring at the toes. And they were so attached. Krishna's beauty was so powerful. Gopis were literally living for Krishna. Throughout their time, they were meditating on Krishna. So that's the highest level of attachment. That's the highest level of yogic performance. When you are completely absorbed in the thoughts of the Supreme. So the gopis, when Uddhava went to Vrindavan to talk to the gopis, he said that he was trying to give them a basic Bhagavad Gita class. Uddhava told them, always try to remember Krishna in whatever activities you do, and in that way you'll never be separated. Because Krishna is not different from his form, his name, his pastimes. So he said that you just meditate on the form of Krishna, and that is equal to being connected with Krishna because Krishna is absolute. And the gopis started laughing. And they said, you really think that we have a difficulty in remembering Krishna? Most of the people in the world have a difficulty of remembering God. Throughout our daily activities, very few times we actually, think of God or remember God. But the gopis had an opposite reaction. They said, we have a problem forgetting about Krishna. Even when he's not there in front of us, all we can see is Krishna. When we are walking and we're seeing the Kadamba trees, we are remembering Krishna used to sit on them and play the flute. When we see the cows, we see how Krishna used to herd these cows. They were always, when they used to see the butter pots, they used to remember how Krishna used to come and break the butter pots and steal the butter. So they were not able to forget Krishna even for a second. So that is the level of attachment a person who has that much love for Krishna. That's the lover relationship with Krishna, Madhurya Bhav. Now, what does all this mean? We might think this is just a simple story that I'm telling. Mother-father relation, father and son relationship, mother and son relationship, master relationship, the relationship with gopis and Krishna. But what does that actually mean? Why is the relationship of gopis said to be the highest level of yogi performance? See, when we have got when there is something called practical knowledge, we might read the Gita, we might understand, okay, this is a particular this is the particular instruction given, this is how it is, okay, we are not the body, we are the soul. All of that is fine, we might know that in theory, but knowing that in practicality is much more different. Like if you are given a chemistry experiment where in your textbook you read that by adding sulfuric acid and hydrochloric acid, there is a particular gas which is formed, which is this color, this smell. You might write all of that. But when you actually go to the lab and you perform and you see of that, then that knowledge is a realized knowledge. It's much more ingrained. Like right now, if I tell Megha that, red hot chili peppers are very spicy, and she has never had any experience with what is spicy. She doesn't know what the taste spicy feels like. Neither has she seen red hot chili peppers. Then she might know, okay, yes, red hot. She might just repeat that. But when you actually experience, when you actually have a chili pepper and then you feel that spicy, that burning sensation, now the understanding is much more ingrained. Similarly, when we understand the instructions of Bhagavad Gita by practical application, then the knowledge is much more ingrained. Right now, we are hearing the same thing. Most of the classes, I'm trying to repeat the basic points again and again. You're not the body, you're not the soul, you're the spirit soul. You're being controlled by material modes of nature. We need to perform. Your eternal position is as Krishna Nitya Das, eternal servitor of Krishna. We say all of that, but do we actually see it? Do we actually see that when we are looking at, the cinema halls and television and nightclubs, do we see that that is actually material nature playing its role? It's trying to trick us. We don't see all of that. Why is that? Because we have in generally forgotten our relationship with God. All of these things that I've mentioned, like all of us have some sort of relationship with the world, like you might go to school and over there the teacher has a relationship with the students. The students have a relationship as the teacher because they see them as the teacher. The teacher says, these are my students. You have a relationship with your parents. This is my mother, this is my father. Similarly, they see you, this is my daughter. You have a relationship with your neighbor. You have a relationship with this is my friend, and this is my cousin. We have relationship with everybody in the world, somehow or the other. This is my countryman. He is from Australia. I'm also from Australia. Like that, we have some sort of relationship. And the ultimate relationship is there with God. But we have forgotten this relationship. The ultimate relationship is with God. It's the only relationship that's actually true. Otherwise, when you're changing bodies, you've had multiple relations. You've had multiple mothers and fathers and teachers and children and brothers and sisters, multiple relationships. All of them are temporary relationships for which we cry so much, for which we hanker so much, for which we, dedicate our entire lives to. But the ultimate relationship with God, we forget. And for us to remember that relationship with God, to re-establish that relationship with God, there's the system of yoga. So yoga, the very word yoga comes from the Sanskrit word yuj. Yuj means union. Union to what? Union to your original relationship with God. That's why the gopis are said to be the highest level of yogis. Why? Because gopis were reaching the stage of remembrance to perfection. They were always remembering Krishna throughout day in, day out. They were practically the hearts were beating only for Krishna. It should not be seen as a material relationship between a girl and a boy. There was no lust. Krishna is beyond the material modes of nature. So the things like lust, all these passionate lust that is there between boy and girl, that does not exist because the relationship Krishna has with his devotees is transcendental. Gopi relationship is not just a girl loving a boy. It is a soul, a devotee of the Lord, having so much love for the God that he is completely absorbed in the thoughts of Lord. You don't need to be a boy or a girl to be a gopi. Because in reality, none of us are boy and girl. Krishna says that everybody's prakriti, everybody's feminine in nature. This material nature is feminine. And he's the only Purusha, he's the only male, he's the only masculine personality in reality. That is because of material covering that we start accepting roles. We think, oh, I am boy, I am girl. These days there are more genders also, thousands of genders. I'm a penguin, I am this, I'm that. There are too many confusing things. But all of that is material illusion. In reality, but the soul doesn't need to be a boy and girl. Everything is in relationship with Krishna. So the gopis were the highest level of yogis because they were able to not only re-establish that forgotten relationship, they had that remembrance to the perfection. They could remember Krishna the maximum level that we cannot remember. And what we don't realize is this very remembrance of Krishna is not something artificial. Remembering bhakti, devotion that we do right now, it is not something that we have to forcefully do. It's something which is always instinctive to us. It's always that seed of devotion was always there because that is our original position. All of us have a eternal relationship with Krishna as devotees, but we have forgotten that due to our own ignorance and due to material nature. So just like a baby when it has to walk, now the walking tendency is always there in the baby. There's no baby who was unable to walk. How, Shoel? Has that ever happened? Were you not able to walk at all? Some people might do it in 3 months, some people might do it in 7 months, some people might do it after 2 years. But eventually, all babies can walk. Why? Because that walking tendency, that potency of walking is natural to a baby, it's instinctive to a baby. It just needs some time and practice. And the baby needs to practice, and then over a point of time, that natural quality of walking, which is natural to all you babies, it comes to them because it's instinctive. It's just dormant. It's just covered temporarily. Similarly, bhakti or devotion or love for God is natural to us. We don't need to force it. We don't need to add something new to our life. It is there. It's just covered. And the covering, depending on how hard it is, how hard our ego and false pride is, depending on that, it will take some time. Some people, they get into devotion very quickly. You'll see just a few times they visit the temple and they become very next level devotees. Some people, for years and years, they might be born in family of devotees. They might be surrounded by chanting of holy names and kirtan and everything, but they'll have no attraction towards it. Prabhupada used to say there are three types of grasses. One is dry grass. When you throw a matchstick on a grass, it picks up fire very quickly. It's very receptive to fire. Then there is dampened grass. When you light a matchstick and you throw it on the dampened grass, it will take some time, but eventually even that will catch fire. And then there is wet grass. Wet grass, you can throw 5 stick matchsticks, it won't burn. Uh, Even after a long time, you try to burn it, some smoke will come out. But then eventually, when you keep on trying, that will also catch fire. Similarly, all of us, we are so covered by our false pride and ego and all of these qualities and covered by material nature that it takes time for us to realize God and our eternal true relationship with God. For some people, if the other qualities are less, if the covering of material nature is less, the remembrance is very quick. For some people, it might be very difficult. For some people, it's almost impossible. You might think, wow, this guy, I'm talking to him every day, I'm preaching to him every day, I'm trying to make him understand, but there's no understanding. That you should understand is wet grass. But eventually, all types of grass is burnt because you can't avoid it. You can't stay in a false temporary costume forever. Eventually, by hook or by crook, everybody gets that realization. But how long is up to you? How long do you want to suffer in ignorance is up to you. How long you want to please this temporary body is up to you. See, what we don't realize is the soul is naturally looking for Krishna. But we try to look for that happiness in material things because we are in ignorance, we don't realize that we are actually looking for that. Once somebody finds Krishna, that is ultimate satisfaction. Once somebody establishes his relationship with God, that's the ultimate satisfaction and fulfillment. He doesn't look for anything else. But as long as he's not getting it, he's trying to look for it everywhere else. And he's suffering in the process. It's like being in a boxing match and the other opponent is just punching you till the time it's given actually in the Shastras that it's like separation from God is called pavarga. I'm going a little deep into this, but just to give you an idea. So pavarga, Krishna is called apavarga, one who gives salvation. Now apavarga is the opposite word of pavarga. Pavarga means pa means, if we study Hindi or Sanskrit, pa, pa, ba, 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 it comes like that. Those are the syllables like A, B, C, D. So it comes from the words pavarga in general. It means defeat, ultimate defeat. Third, the ba means the foam. It comes from a Sanskrit word, which means the foam that comes from a horse that is exhausted. And then there is bha, which is bhai, which is fear. And then there is destruction. So what Pavarga means is basically that this is the attempt of an entity trying to exploit and enjoy material nature. He's always defeated. He's exhausted. It's like the foam that comes in the horse when it's over exhausted. That's the state of an entity when it's trying to conquer material nature and try to enjoy material nature. Huh? Then there is fear. There's always fear. No matter how successful you might be in material nature, there's always that fear. What if I lose it? You might buy a very expensive car. That fear is always there in your mind now. What if I lose it? What if this goes away? And we are always trying to protect it. And then finally, there's destruction. No matter what comfortable position you have in life, you can be kicked out of it very easily. So that is when you have tried to, when you are forgetful of your relationship with Krishna, you try to look for satisfaction in these temporary things, but it never satisfies you. Hence, the system of yoga is given, and hence the system of bhakti yoga is given. So far, does this make sense? Does anybody have any doubts, any questions? Anything like that? Anything which didn't make sense? Now, the next part is how do we understand the perfection of yoga? How can we perform this yoga? How can we re-establish this relationship by with Krishna, which we have forgotten, and we eventually reach the stage of parental relationship with Krishna, a friendship relationship with Krishna, loving relationship with Krishna? How do we achieve all of that? And in this present age called Kali Yuga, people are so materialistically absorbed, and the knowledge of spirituality is so diminishing day by day. Intelligence, memory, all of it is diminishing. Hence, Krishna has made it easy for us by coming in the incarnation of Lord Chaitanya and giving us the science of Krishna consciousness, which is remembering Krishna through chanting his holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna said, Lord Chaitanya, it's given that Hare Nama, Hare Nam, Eva Kevalam, Kalau Naste, Eva Naste, Eva Gatir Anyatha. Which means in this age of Kali, when people are so quarrelsome, so forgetful, so unlucky, so unfortunate, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Eva Kevalam, which means the names of Hari. In Sanskrit or in the scriptures, whenever you want to give special emphasis to something, you repeat it three times. That's why this thing is repeated three times. Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam. The chanting of the names of Hari is Kevalam. It's the only benediction that you can get. Kalau naste eva naste eva gatiranita. Again, three times it's repeated. What does it mean? Kalau naste eva. There's no other way, there's no other way, there's no other way. Chanting of the holy names of Hari, chanting of the holy names of Krishna is the only benediction that you can get in this age of Kali Yuga. There is no other way, there's no other way, there's no other way. Hare Nam, Hare Nam eva kevalam. Kalau naste eva naste gatiranyatha. So that is why this chanting of the holy names is so important. And all of you must consider yourself very, very fortunate because it is not very easy to get to this realization. It's not very easy to come out of this illusion of being in this materialistic body. Huh? Find this verse. Somebody find this verse in Gita. Bahunam Janmanam Ante. I'll give the whole Sanskrit, but try to find it. Starts with Bahunam Janmanam Ante. Bahunam Janmanam Ante. ज्ञानवान मां प्रपद्यन्ते वासुदेव सर्वमिति सा महात्मा सुदुर्लभा बहुनाम जन्मनाम अन्ते. You can use chat GPT, Google also, that's fine. When you find it, read it.
It is it Bahunam or what does it starts with?
Bahunam Bahunam Janmanam
Ah,
Janam.
Bahunam. Okay, 7.19.
Yeah, can you read the translation?
Translation. After many births and death, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare.
Bahunam janmanam ante. That means Bahu means after repeated many janmanam, repeated births and deaths. Ante, after the at the end of so many repeated births and death, Jnanavan mam prapadyante. Jnanavan is somebody who's in knowledge, somebody who's intelligent. Mam prapadyante. He finally surrenders unto me. Vasudeva Sarvam Iti. He understands that Vasudeva, the son of Vasudeva, Krishna, Sarvam Iti, is everything. He's the source of all. He's the source of all creation. Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. Thus, the such a great soul. Mahatma is a great soul. Atma is soul. Mahatma is great soul. Maha means great. When we say Maha Mantra, it means the great mantra. It's the best out of all mantras. So similarly, Mahatma is the great souls. Out of all souls, this one is especially very great. So Sa Mahatma, Su Durlabha. Durlabha means rare to see. Su, whenever you put see Su in Sanskrit, that means very. So Sa Mahatma Su Durlabha. So Bahunam Janmanam Ante. After so many births and deaths, Jnanavan Mam Prapadyante. Finally, the soul gets intelligence and he surrenders unto me. He sees Vasudeva Sarvamiti. He sees Krishna as the source of the source of everything. Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. Why does he see? There is one more verse. Try to find this one. What is it? अहम सर्वस्य प्रभावो मत सर्वं प्रवर्तते इति मत्वा भजन्ते मां बुद्धभावो समावृतः. अहम सर्वस्य प्रभावो. Come on, Mega Shoel. Priya is
10,
always winning in this game.
10.8.
I need somebody else to find these verses.
10.8.
Oh,
And
I'm just following your screen because my book's not next to me.
come on, man, you're in a Bhagavad Gita. Shoel, come on, you need to find some verses. Okay, Priya, read the translation.
I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts.
Yes. So why is Vasudevam Sarvamiti? Why is Krishna the source of everything? Because it's again confirmed by Krishna. But I am the source of all spiritual and material world. Everything. He doesn't say something. He says everything. Mata Sarvam. Sarvam means everything. Pravartate emanates from me. Huh? Iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samavita. Buddha bhava means the intelligent people. Huh? They understand that they understand this and they start worshipping me. They become devoted to me. So the very fact that we have realized this and we have taken up Krishna consciousness is very rare. Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. So it should be considered very fortunate that we have found this holy name and we have found this devotional service path because it's actually very rare. If you see so many, you might ask the question that if Krishna consciousness is the ultimate, why isn't everybody doing it? Everybody I know is watching Netflix, watching Mission Impossible in the theaters, drinking, going to clubs. They're doing other things. No, I don't see everybody talking about Bhagavad Gita and Krishna consciousness. I don't see everybody chanting. So why should I think that this is the most optimal thing for this age? I literally don't see, especially in Australia, you won't see people doing all of these things. So that is why Krishna says, Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. It is very rare to see. Because very few people actually are able to get out of this. Yoga Maya Samavritaha. That this Yoga Maya, this material illusionary energy of mine is very difficult to overcome. Only by special mercy of Guru and Krishna is one able to come to this path. So when we come to this path, how do we perform this yoga, this highest perfection? It is not by sitting in meditation. It's not by sort of putting yourself in complex yogic postures. It's not even by reading a lot of complicated books or using mental speculation. It is simply performing your activities in remembrance of Krishna. You'll never see a photo of gopis in Vrindavan sitting in yogic posture, sitting with their eyes closed in a lotus position with their fingers like this. You never see them. They are always in service, always remembering Krishna. मन मना भव मद भक्तो मद्याजीमाम नमस्कुरु. मन मना मन मना भव mad bhakto. This verse comes twice in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is trying to emphasize this verse so much. And he's trying to establish this point. Man mana bhava mad bhakto. And then try to remember me. Madhyajimam namaskuru. Namaskuru. Always pay obeisance to me. Huh? Mam yashtavam evashashi. Atmanam mam parayana. When somebody is completely absorbed, man mana bhava mad bhakto, they are all become my devotee. Always think of me, always worship me. And when you do this, the soul finally attains me. So that is Krishna giving you the ultimate. Yoga very itself means union, to re-establish your lost relationship with Krishna. It does not mean to sit in a yogic posture and just close your eyes in meditation. In today's time, I've seen so many people that in the name of meditation, they say close your eyes, focus on your breath. Now think what do you want to be in the next 10 years. Now see yourself becoming all. That is all good, but that's not yoga. That's not the point of yoga. And in Australia and Western countries, the entire point of yoga is lost. They think yoga means I have a gym where they have yoga classes. What they do in the yoga class is stretching, body stretching, a cat cow pose, that pose, good for your body and your muscles. Well, that is all good, but what's the main point? Yoga is not only for simply stretching the body, neither is it for simply meditating or nothing. Half the people they attend this meditation course and they're sleeping. And they close their eyes and they sit, they pretend like they're in very deep meditation, and then 2 minutes later they're snoring. They go into deep sleep. That is what's happening in the name of yoga. Yoga is not for that. Yoga means remembrance of God. That's why the gopis are said to be the best of the yogis because they were able to remember God. And how do we perform this yoga? So the nine processes of devotional services: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pad Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. So what is that first? Shravanam, listening, which is again mentioned in the second part of this purport. That one who constantly engages in hearing about Krishna, he starts dwelling in the heart. His heart gets purified just by listening about Krishna. So what we're doing right now, it's Shravanam, listening, coming to Gita classes, coming. This is a satsang. What is a satsang? Satsang is when people get together and they glorify the Lord. They discuss about the Lord, His activities, His pastimes. And by satsang, your heart gets purified. You are able to re-establish that connection with God much better than sitting in some stupid yogic posture or stretching your body. You won't be able to, in thousand lifetimes, you won't be able to realize God. But one who engages in hearing about Him, when Shravanam happens, then automatically Kirtanam happens. When you listen, then automatically over a period of time when your heart gets more and more purified, you start chanting. Kirtanam not necessarily means the kirtan which we are used to. When I say kirtan, you think kirtan is when you get a mridanga, harmonium, kartal, people are singing, chanting. That is also kirtan. But kirtan in general means chanting, using sound vibration to glorify the Lord. So that can be by chanting, by discussing. This is also kirtan. When we're discussing about Krishna, the Bhagavad Gita, reading Bhagavatam, that is all Kirtan. Then Vishnu Smaranam. Then we are able to remember Krishna. We are able to remember the form of Vishnu, the form of Krishna in our mind. Pad Senam. Then we are able to serve the lotus feet of Krishna. Uh, we offer respects to Tulsi Maharani. That is, in Pada Sevanam, this is given in the Shastras. Jiva Goswami says, by serving Tulsi Maharani, having Tulsi plant, circumambulating Tulsi plant, by visiting holy places of pilgrimage. These are all ways of Pada Sevanam. Archanam, we are able to do deity worship over a point of time. As your heart gets more and more purified, you progress to these stages. Deity worship, where whoever came for the retreat, we had a whole session on importance of deity worship. Priya Shohel, you remember that? So we can see that these are very important. Serving the deity is like directly serving Krishna. Then there's Vandanam, offering prayers to Krishna, offering prayers throughout the day. All activities we offer a prayer. Like before the class, I did Mangal Charan prayers, which is offering prayers to Krishna. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jaganpati. These are all prayers that we offer. Prayers are very important. We should make prayers a daily part of our life. This is also a high stage of devotional service. Then Archanam Vandanam, Pad Sevanam, Archanam Vandanam, Dasyam. So, like I mentioned in the beginning of the class, the different relationships we can have. So, there is Dasyam, which is seeing the Lord as the master and us as the servant. Establishing that relationship with Krishna as the servant and master. When we further progress, there is Sakyam, seeing Krishna as a friend. Now, we should not fool ourselves and directly see Krishna as a friend. See, like if we have, like for example, Shoail has a very important friend, and the Australian Prime Minister's son is Shoail's friend. Now, even though they both are friends, there is a importance which that guy has because he's the Prime Minister's son. So you will not be very explicit or you'll not be very frank with him. You'll not be very like you would. There will be some limits that you need to maintain. Similarly, with Krishna, seeing him as a friend, it is in the terms of love. Not that he's my friend, so Krishna, would you like to smoke one with me? We can't, that is nonsense. Don't see Krishna as we are not on the equal level of Krishna. It's see having that much love that we are able to see Krishna in a loving way in the form of friend. But there are also limits. Krishna's position is much higher. Then Dasyam, Sakya, and Atma Nivedan. Atma Nivedan means complete surrender. I can go to hell. Even if I go to hell, burn my body, I'm completely fine with that. I just want to remember Krishna. There was one, I'll tell one short pastime. Once, Narad Muni was asking, Krishna, why do you say that the gopis are the best devotees? But there are so many devotees in the world. Why are you always praising the gopis? Why are you saying that the gopis are the highest perfection? So Krishna says, do one thing, go to all my devotees and tell them that I'm very unwell. And the only way I can cure my sickness, my disease, is by if I get the dust of the feet of my devotees. Now he goes to all the big devotees of Krishna. He goes to Lord Shiva and he asks for the dust of the feet of Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva says, if I'm putting the dust of my feet on Krishna as a very big offense, I'll go to hell for that. Oh no, you go and talk to someone else. He goes to Lord Brahma. He says the same thing. I don't want to go to hell. Are you mad or what? Please go ask someone else. Like that, he talks to all the demigods, Indra, Surya. All of them reject. He goes to all the people in Dwarka. He goes to all of these people. All of them say, no, we don't want to commit such a big offense. We don't want to commit such a big sin by putting our dust of our feet on the head of Krishna. Now, Narad Muni comes back to Krishna very dejected. Said, I asked all of them, none of them want to give it. All of them are afraid of going to hell. Krishna says, now go and ask the gopis. So Narad Muni goes and he asks the gopis that this has happened to Krishna. He's not feeling well. And he said that the only way he can be cured of his disease is if he gets the dust of your feet. And immediately the gopis start scraping the dust of the feet and they give it to Narad. And Narad says, aren't you afraid of going to hell? And the gopis say that it doesn't matter if we go to hell or not. Even if we go to hell, we're fine. As long as this dust of our feet is benefiting Krishna, as long as Krishna is well, we are fine with everything. So, what is that a sign of? That is a sign of complete surrender, where I'm not bothered with what happens to this temporary body. I'm completely surrendered to the Lord. So, without getting too jumbled up in these complicated things, the most important thing, even in the nectar of devotion is given, most important thing is listening, hearing about the glories of the holy name. When we are constantly engaged in hearing about Krishna, then naturally our heart get purified. We don't need to worry about the rest. Our first and very foremost step is constantly engaged in hearing the pastimes. Manchita Madgata Prana Bodhayantas Parasparo Kathayantascha Bham Nitya Tushanticha Ramanticha. That great souls, great devotees of mine are always engaged in Kathayantascha Bham Nityam, eternally engaged in listening to my pastimes, my activities, hearing about Krishna through Bhagavad Gita, through Bhagavatam, through different ways of glorification of Krishna, chanting my holy names. So all of these are processes of purifying our hearts and establishing that lost relationship. So this is real yoga. Prabhupada used to say, a lot of people used to go to Prabhupada and say that why can't we do dhyana yoga? Why can't we sit in meditation posture? Why can't we close our eyes and fix our attention on the forehead and focus on the breath and all of that, which we typically think is the way of God realization. Prabhupada said in Kali Yuga, we don't have the knowledge or the ability to perform those types of meditations. In this age, the only meditation is Hare Nam. Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Eva Kevalam, Kalau Naste Eva Naste Eva Naste Eva Gatiranyasa. And chanting of the holy names is the only way, the real yoga in this age. Hence, chanting is so important. So, to conclude, how do we establish this relationship? How do you continuously understand Krishna in entirety? How you can know me in full. By all other methods, you may not know. The greatest yogi may not understand Krishna in entirety. We see so many great yogis, they only see the impersonal aspect of Krishna. They understand what is karma, they understand material nature, but they don't understand God in entirety. They see God as impersonal. They see God without a form. And they say that the world is all false, it's all illusion. And reality is Brahman, which is the spirit, the impersonal effulgence. They are very confused like that. Great yogis, people who have been doing tapasya for years, they are confused like that. As Gyanis, people who are very knowledgeable, who read a lot of scriptures and books and all that, use mental speculation. Yeah, but they were not able to understand. But a bhakta, a devotee, who's constantly engaged in chanting, listening to the holy names of Lord, performing devotional service to the Lord, he is able to know Lord in entirety. Ananyas Chintayanto Ma. That Krishna is situated in everybody's heart. Sarvasya Chaham Riti Sanu Vishnu. Mata Smriti Jnanam Apohanam Cha. That from me comes knowledge, remembrance, and even forgetfulness. So when you perform devotional service to Krishna, Krishna is completely sold. He will completely gives himself to you. And when he does that, he gives you the knowledge. He gives you the remembrance. He gives you the eyes through which you can see Krishna. Krishna cannot be seen by your normal material eyes. Like I discussed, we have imperfect senses. But when we see Krishna through the lens of Bhagavad Gita, through the lens of the holy names, then we're able to see Krishna in entirety. So, with that, I would like to conclude. Can all of you give me one point of what you understood from today's class? Just a small highlight on what was your realization. So, Shoel, what did you understand from today's class? Any one point?
I understand that um the that serving the Lord, I mean looking as Lord, looking at Krishna as the Lord, and looking as Krishna as the friend, and looking as Krishna as a lover. I noticed out of all those three, looking Krishna as a lover is the highest.
Very good. So there's different types of rasas, different types of mellows. Rasas is actually a very complicated word because there's no direct translation. But rasa means the type of enjoyment that you have. So there's Vatsalya ras, Sakya ras, and then lastly there is Madhurya ras, which you mentioned, seeing Krishna as a lover. And Madhurya ras is the greatest of all rasas. Okay, very good, Shoail. Megha, what did you understand from today's class? Something different to what Shoail said. Can't repeat the same thing.
I was actually gonna say that one and then he said it. I'm trying to think. Oh God.
Okay, what is the best type of yoga that is mentioned in this age?
Didn't you say it's bhakti yoga?
Yep, and what is the first step of bhakti yoga?
The first step of bhakti yoga. Like controlling the mind?
Hmm. That is obviously that's part of it, but what's the most important?
Oh, engaging in hearing of Krishna.
Yes.
Okay. Wait,
So,
that oh.
yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say actually wait, yeah, that reminded me because you said the word yoga comes like this is one of my learnings. You
Yeah.
said the word yoga comes from the word yuj, which
Yeah.
means union. So when
Yeah.
you said that, I was just thinking about like the term like bhakti yoga, that
Uh,
how it probably means like because bhakti means like devotion, right? So it's like in union, like with Krishna through devotion.
yes,
In
that's what
my
it
mind, I
means.
was sort of connecting, okay, bhakti yoga overall means that. So then that's essentially what we're doing with things like this class or with kirtan and going to the temple and things like that.
Yeah.
So to me, it sort of clicked in a little bit.
Yeah, that's correct. So bhakti means loving devotional service. So bhakti yoga means union with Krishna, re-establishing our connection with Krishna through loving devotional service. When you love someone, then you remember, not forcefully. Okay, that's very good. Priya, what did you learn? Something different to what these two said.
Mm, something I just learned that we are a part of, like, we came from Krishna. So to go back to Krishna, chanting the name, or um, chanting the name of the Krishna is the main thing. And to do that, we need to be near, like we need to be near to Krishna, know more about Krishna, so that we are automatically onto it rather than by force. So, and to do that, we can like go through listening to the stories of Krishna. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, man mana bhava mad bhakto, always remembering Krishna throughout our activities. It does not mean you have to change your activities. It does not mean you have to quit your job and sit in the hills or something like that. It just means whatever you're doing throughout it, you remember Krishna. And just by remembering Krishna throughout your activity, it becomes spiritualized. What's the difference between a normal musical performance and a kirtan? Like Mega, you went for that kirtan that day by Leo Day. What was the difference between Justin Bieber weekend performing and a kirtan? That the first is the sound vibration is obviously very different. But the main thing is the entire focus of the kirtan is remembering Krishna. We're constantly chanting the names of Krishna or by doing some bhajan. Constantly by glorifying Krishna through sound vibration, you are able to remember Krishna. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam. So that is the important thing. Devotional service or bhakti means remembering Krishna throughout all your activities. Whether it could be eating, when you eat, what's the difference between regular food and prasadam? Prasadam is when you have offered that food as Krishna to Krishna, and in that process, naturally, you have remembered Krishna. So that's what Krishna is saying. Always remember me. One whose mind is attached to me, practicing yoga by practicing activities in full consciousness of Krishna, full Krishna consciousness, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. So that is the key that's given to us. That we basically need to remember Krishna. Priya, find this verse. No, actually, Shoail, find this verse. Man mana bhava mad bhakto. Use ChatGPT, Google, whatever, and then tell me. Mega, that goes for you also. Use Google ChatGPT if you don't have the book. Oh, Aditri, guess who came at the right time just when the class ended? How was the Aarti, Aditri? Hare Krishna? Yeah. How was the Aarti? Are you eating prasadam right now? Okay, yeah, you eating prasadam. Okay, you see, she's remembering Krishna. So that's yeah. Anyway, Shoail, you found it or not?
Can you say it again, please?
Man mana bhava mad bhakto.
I
MANA.
found it.
Yeah, what is it? Can you read the translation and
So
tell
it's
the
chapter
verse
9,
number?
verse 34. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mam eva yashi yuktavevam atmanam
Nammat Parayana.
madprara. Yeah.
Yeah, what's the?
Oh, okay. Sorry. Am I reading the translation?
No, I wanted the Sanskrit and the translation. So yeah,
Matmana, always think of me. Bhava, be. Mat, my. Bhakta, devotee. Mat, my. Yaji, worshipper. Mam, to. Oh, to me. Namaskuru, offer obeisances. Mam, to me. Eva, certainly. Ishyasi, you will come. Yuktava, united with me. Evam, thus. Atmanam, your mind and body. Mat Parayana, having dedicated to me.
where are you reading this translation from? Is
Is
it
it
from
wrong?
the? No, it's like kind of different to what I have on the screen. Like Yukta, you said being.
Oh, I could have just read from the screen.
No, I put it on later on, but yeah. Can you read the translation also now? This bold part?
Yeah, I read this from online Bhagavad Gita
Yeah,
actually.
that's probably so different websites have different. Yeah, read
Yeah.
the translation.
So engage your mind always in thinking of me. Become my devotee. Offer obeisances to me and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me.
Yeah, this point is so important. Krishna has mentioned it two times, once in the ninth chapter and again at the end at the 18th chapter. Man mana bhava mad bhakto madhya jimam namaskuru. Mam evasyashi yuktevam atmanam mad parayana. That man mana bhava mad bhakto. Always think of me. Man mana bhava mad bhakto. Become my devotee. Mam yaji mam namaskuru. Worship me, yaji, and mam namaskuru. Offer obeisances unto me. Mam evasyashi yuktevam. That being absorbed in me, Atmanam Matparayana, your soul will eventually come to my abode. So this is a very important point. Basically, in all our activities, we remember Krishna. So very good. Okay, like I promised, I think we are kind of short on time, so I'll just quickly run through the chanting points that I was going to talk about. The class went a little longer than I thought because I wanted to keep the class short and then talk more of chanting.